Let's talk about the policy engine guardrail for the agent wallet economy. So, this engine acts as a guard to keep the whole agentic system in check against doing what it's not supposed to do. So, we can see from this illustration a hallucinating AI agent trying to execute a transaction, a simple transaction of sending a huge amount of Solana with 50 stated here. So when the agent tries to execute this, it must first go through this policy engine interceptor to see if it's in line with what the policy engine requires. So when it checks here, the configure guardrails will quickly intercept and check. The daily limit is set to be 2 but the requested execution is 50 Immediately, the action is blocked. We can see here that it's blocked, and the agent will be restricted from accessing the encrypted key and then returns a policy violator error exceeds the limit of 2 Now let's look at the code of this configured guardrails to see exactly what is happening. So I'm going over to policyengine.ts here. I'm scrolling to the top and we can see at a glance the interface of the policy rule, where it's asking for a name, the maximum lamports per transaction, the maximum transaction per hour, the maximum transaction per day, the cooldown, the allowed programs, the blocked programs, and the maximum daily spend lamports. So we can see here that the policy engine enforces transaction limits, rate limiting, and program allow list for each wallet. Policies are the first line of defense against misuse. The architecture is a simple one where each wallet can have one policy attached. The policies are checked before any transaction is signed. Rate limits are tracked in memory with window-based counting, and all violations are logged via the audit logger. So if I should scroll down to the place of interest, okay, yeah, this create a standard definite policy with sensible defaults. It's where this entire file culminates. So we can see that the maximum lamport per TX or per transaction allowed is just 2 So 2 times the lamports per which is just 2 The maximum transaction per hour is 30. The maximum transaction per day is 200. The cooldown milliseconds is 2000. So the cooldown is basically the time between which two transactions occur, the time between which a transaction is successful and another transaction is being sent by the agent. The maximum daily spend lamports is 10, so it can only spend 10 daily. Yeah, okay, the maximum it can only spend 10 daily. So if with this guardrail of maximum lamp rate per transaction, which is 2, mean that and it's supposed to spend and it's getting to its maximum limit of 10, mean that it can only have 5 transactions per day. So the allowed programs for this, we can see the system program, we can see the token keg program, which is the Solana token program. We can see the associated token account, the memo program, the compute budget, Jupiter, and the token 22 program, which is the token Z. So basically, these are the allowed programs that the agent is allowed to interact with, basically, depending on the requested functionality by the agent. Now, if we should go over to the human only.ts, so this is under simple guardrail basically. So this is a compile time guardrail that prevents agent code paths from calling operations that must only be initiated by a human. So here we just have one transaction, one instruction or operation called closing a wallet. So how the guard works, this requires a literal type true for human initiated, not the wider Boolean type. So if we should scroll over to this point, we should see that the human initiated is set as true, meaning that only the human can be able to close wallets and not the agent itself.